Good morning and welcome to the ILG webinar, ArcMap to ArcPro Migration Tips. We're happy to have you join us. My name is Alicia Adolph and I'm the Professional Development Manager for the Association of Counties. Like always, you have that chat box for your comments and questions. And at the end of the webinar, a quick evaluation is going to pop up on your screen, and we ask that you give us your feedback, which is always appreciated. So let's get started. Presenting today is your NDACo GIS coordinator, Kaitlyn Bakken. Good morning, Kaitlyn.
Good morning, Alicia. Hello, everyone. I'm very excited to be here today to share with you a couple tips and tricks about migrating from ArcMap to ArcPro. So I was unsure of everybody's level of knowledge with the new software. So this is going to be super high level. If you'd like, please let Alicia know or myself know if you want me to go a little bit further into the weeds. That's definitely not a problem. We just got to get something on the calendar. So, alrighty, let's get moving. So, alrighty. Okay, so as I said, today we are just going to be doing a broad overview to help you get familiar. I am the GIS coordinator, as Alicia stated, with NDACo. I personally chose GIS as my career because it is never the same. It is always changing, and we are always trying to evolve to better solve problems more efficiently for everyone around us. And throughout today, I know that this may seem daunting, but remember to open your mind, take a deep breath, and accept the challenge. Alrighty, so we are going to start about making the change, and then the biggest differences in the softwares, and then we're going to do a quick walkthrough before questions. All right, so maybe this is you. I'm sure most of you know that ArcMap is no longer in support, so that ArcGIS Pro is creeping up on us. And maybe this is you. Maybe you're the Andy Dwyer, and that's okay, but that's what I'm here for. Alrighty, so as I mentioned, ArcGIS Map is no longer in support, and it is currently depreciating. So that is increasing crashing, and functionality is going down. We have currently outgrown the capabilities of ArcMap. Licensing is also evolving and is no longer going to be server-based and is going to be tied more to the ArcGIS Online. And we are, of course, moving cloud-based because that seems to be the trend this time of year. So some of the biggest differences are going to be there are an array of more ways for you to share your data, layers, projects as a whole, so on and so forth. There are set toolbars. We are no longer going to be having to be turning off and turning on toolbars. We are moving to a project-based software rather than a document-based. So you are able to open multiple projects at a time and have multiple scenes or layers open and working. Catalog is also built in now, and there are tabs that allow us to work with our geoprocessing tools, view attributes, and things like that. So in other words, it's bigger, better, faster, stronger, and we can process 3D more efficiently. So of course, nothing's going to be the same, but remember that you are not growing if you're not uncomfy. So the big highlight, as I mentioned, of course, we are increasing our ways that we can share our data. The first one that I will touch on is going to be the projects. As you can see, you can do, or the packages, excuse me. You can do the whole project, just your map frame, or you can export it as a mobile map. And then we also have a pipeline, I like to call it, to ArcGIS Online. You can export your layers that you're working on straight to ArcGIS Online, whether that be through a web map, a web layer, things like that. And then you can also package up that project and make a template along with exporting it as a file or as a PDF or a JPEG. So as I mentioned, the toolbars are changing. This should be relatively reminiscent simply because I don't know how long ago, but we went from Microsoft to the 360. So the ribbon model should be relatively normal to you. As you can see, we have the tabs on the top, and then it is kind of grouped together for your tools. And as I mentioned, it is going to be project-based. So when you start a new project, it is going to look like that little screen there, and you can choose where to put a new file, because when you open a new project, it also creates a new file. And you can navigate to where you want to save it. And if you follow that location in your own file explorer, you can see that the project creates quite a few different versions of files. So as you can see, we have the file geodatabase and then a project file. And those are the two things that we are going to touch on today. As I mentioned before, the catalog is now integrated. It is no longer an outside entity, I guess, for lack of a better word. It is always open unless if you want to close it, of course. And those automated folders that I had mentioned before are immediately connected to your folders and databases when you open up that project. So let's get into it. I'm going to go ahead and open ArcPro on my other screen. So give me one quick moment, please. All right, so when you open up your ArcGIS Pro, as you can see along the bottom, it is not going to be your little globe anymore. It's going to be that blue kind of hexagon with the white globe on the inside. And here you can see you can open up a new map project, a catalog, scene, or local scene. These two are going to be more geared towards the 3D processing that I was mentioning. And then we have the template option. But I'm going to go ahead, and since I already showed you the folders that Pro created when I made a new folder, or a new project, excuse me, we are just going to go straight into my project. All right, so as you can see here, this is just going to be the open screen when you open ArcPro. Along the left, as usual, is your contents. And then we have the ribbons along the top, just like our Microsoft Word or PowerPoint. And then we have our catalog along the right side. So just like on the slides, you can see that our folders are all connected as soon as we open that project. And if we go up to the top in the layer group, we're going to click Add Data. And immediately the Add Data pane opens. So as you can see along the left side, you are able to choose where your data is living. And I say living because it no longer needs to live on your local computer. We now have the pipeline to ArcGIS Online under the portal option. You can also choose from your current project if you created layers or features in the past, or you can go through your computer. But here I'm going to go through the ArcGIS Online. And up in the top right, you have your search bar, and I'm going to type in NDGIS Hub space county and hit enter. And as you can see, quite a few different things come up. Of course, you're going to have the title, type, date created, so on and so forth. But we are also going to focus mainly on the owner, because as we can see, there are a few different entities that are hosting data that is out on the ArcGIS Online Hub. But it looks like I am only, ooh, maybe not. So I'm going to type boundaries. And click it and then hit OK. And of course, as soon as I added data, the software immediately zoomed to the layer that I had added. So we can see all of the layers or all of the counties in North Dakota. And we can go ahead and select one of them if we'd like. And what does that do? So I'm going to go ahead and open that attribute table. And as we can see, here it is. And we can view the selected, in the bottom. And we can close that and clear our selection. We can also select a county by attributes. So as you can see, we have our county boundaries selected in the top and a new selection in the selection type. And then we have our expression. And I will go ahead and do name is equal to Benson. So let's see if that selects the correct county. Ta-da! There it is. So that is two different ways that we can select what we are looking for. If you'd like to scroll in and pan, you're going to use the Explore tool. So just move in and zoom out with your all right, and then we will go ahead and move on to the Insert tab. And to the left, we have the Insert New Map. So that's going to be essentially just like the welcome screen for ArcPro. We can do a new layout, and you have all of the different types that you can ever think of or wish for, and toolboxes, so on and so forth. Analysis, of course, and these are going to be your tools. I'm going to go ahead and click on the red toolbox. And as you can see on the right side, the catalog opens into the geoprocessing tab. So all of our tools live along this right-hand side on this panel. If you want, you can get into the weeds a little bit deeper and do the ready-to-use tools, or explore pairwise buffers and other proximity tools. And we're going to move on to the View tab. And here you see a bunch of gobbledygook, I like to call it. But this tab is very important because say that I opened ArcPro and all of my panes are gone. All you have to do is go to the View tab go to reset panes and reset panes for mapping. And everybody comes back. So when in doubt, don't panic. Go to the view pane and try your best. Then in the edit tab, this is where, of course, all of your editing tools are going to live. Your split, merge, move, things like that. And your create acts just like your toolboxes. Once you click that, it comes right on the right side. That also goes for modify if you don't want it up on the toolbar. Next, we have imagery. Of course, it's going to be your raster data, things like that. I'm not sure that that is pertinent. But then we have the share tab, and it is going to be, as we saw in the PowerPoint, there are the package options, the share as options, the web map, web layer, and then we have the save as, where you can create the templates, do the styles, things like that. And then we have the output. So you can print the map, export, you can do the flattened PDF, the TIFF, or the vector. And last but not least, we have the help tab. I personally love this tab because it is just kind of where I reference this a lot more than I probably should, but I love that we have online help in the software, learning resources readily available, and when in doubt, I always love to navigate to the Esri community because it's essentially going to be almost like a Reddit that people post their questions, things that they are possibly facing, and everybody has access to this. You don't have to have an ArcGIS Online account, unless if you want to ask questions, of course. So you can search your keyword problem. Let's do pro. So yeah, you can see that somebody is creating a roadmap, and they are announcing that there is a patch for the software. Okay. Another trick that I really like to keep in my own back pocket is when you have a layer selected in your context pane, or contents pane, excuse me, you can go to the feature layer and there is transparency as an option. So personally, when I am comparing data, I like to use the transparency so I can make the layer on top a little bit more transparent than the one on the bottom so we can compare and contrast. And you can also label on the top left corner. Quick and easy. And then of course we have our label placement, however you prefer. And your symbol information. So like I said, when in doubt, there is always help out there. The community is always a great resource. Esri also has their training catalog. That is a phenomenal resource, but I understand that professional development and finding time for training can be difficult. So that's why I rely on the community so much. But when in doubt, reach out. I am always here, happy to help with whatever you could possibly think of. So yes, Alicia, I will, oh, so sorry. I will hand it back to you and see if we have any questions.
All right, thanks, Kaitlyn. Appreciate the demonstration as well as the information. Yes, any comments or questions for Kaitlyn? We will take them now. Looks pretty quiet in that question box, so maybe I'll pause for 10, 15 seconds and let people gather their thoughts, and we'll see if anything comes in.
Sounds good.
Well, Kaitlyn, it looks like you gave them all the great information there, and you have to save the date. Did you want to mention that as well?
Yes, I'm sure that you guys have heard me talk about it at our annual conference, but Bob Nutch with North Dakota Information Technologies, the geospatial program, along with the NDACo GIS program, are presenting the 2026 North Dakota Geospatial Summit taking place here in Bismarck immediately after our annual conference in October. So I hope to see everyone there. It's going to be a great time. So that's my blurb.
Perfect. We're looking forward to that in October. And Kaitlyn, we did have a question come in for you. Question reads, where do you like to save your project files?
I personally like to save it on my C drive. I like to keep it on my local disk, make sure that it's local and always accessible where I need it. So.
All right. Thank you again, Kaitlyn. Appreciate you. And thanks to all of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us. And as we close this live webinar, a quick evaluation should pop up on your screen. Thanks again and have a great rest of your day. Take care.
Thank you.